Alrighty, so we now know the first two MLS team that is moving on into the next round of this year edition of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and there really wasn't too much surprise when it comes to both of these matches. In fact, for the most part, both of these match was kind of a little bit dull to watch at times. Though I said that, but looking at this game between Inter Miami versus Sporting KC, there was at one point in this game where Sporting KC really made it interesting, and then Miami took a 2-0 lead up to that point, and yeah, after they took that 2-0 lead and then made it 3-0 before halftime, we knew this game was all but over. Now, in the first half, as expected, Miami had most of the possessions. Sporting KC seems like they were countering that by pressing high up the pitch. Now, they didn't really do that for the majority of the game, but that's a kind of an interesting strategy. I haven't really seen a lot of teams decided to try to press against Inter Miami up top, and I feel like more teams should do so because Miami is kind of a team that likes to build up slow. So in order to maybe disrupt that, press high up the pitch, see if you can win the ball high up the pitch, and especially from what we saw last season when Inter Miami has that ability of at times being poor at the back, there could be a chance you can win the ball high up the pitch and create chance or two. But that being said, there was a half-hearted shout for a penalty for Sporting KC that was not given. There was also no shot through the first 15 minutes. So yeah, nothing really happened in the first 15 minutes, and that all changed in the 19th minute because on the first shot of the game, guess who? It's the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi. He scored from Suarez to make it 1-0 in favor of Inter Miami. I mean, that is just vintage Messi and Suarez connection. Suarez providing a great ball there to Messi, and Messi is going to score a goal that only he can score off the volley like that into the bottom right corner. And yeah, again, there's a reason why he's called the GOAT for the reason. But yeah, that gives Inter Miami a 1-0 lead. Now the good news for Sporting KC is that didn't really change much in terms of the overall outcome because as a reminder, the CONCACAF Champions Cup is one of the few competitions that still have away goal rule in effect. So really, that goal does push the aggregate to 2-0. But Sporting KC knew that they had to score two goals in this game. They are able to move on to the next round, and now all they need to do is to score two goals to try to get themselves the lead and potentially even pull off a shocker in this game. And that's exactly what they kind of did because this is when they really started to make it interesting and started to press hard for the equalizer. It started with Joveljic looked to respond for Sporting KC, but it was clear off the line by Falcon there. So Falcon, of course, getting his debut, and what a debut he had for Inter Miami. I mean, if he wasn't there at the right place at the right time, that probably been 1-1 at that point. Ustavi then tipped Leibel cross over, and for the first time tonight, we saw some sustained pressure started by one of these team as Sporting KC looked to try to get the equalizer and a goal back in the aggregate. Davis would then hits one right to Ustavi. Miami's got to be careful because, like I said, just because they scored an amazing goal by Messi, it didn't really change much that Sporting KC still needed to win in this. And now not only they need two goals to win, but two goals will be enough to move on into the next round because of the way goal rule. Joveljic then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide after just a bad giveaway there for Miami. And then Garcia would hit one right to Ustavi in the 38th minute. And then Sporting KC thought they got the equalizer when Joveljic put the ball into the back net. The problem was the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside. And I gotta say, it was very, very close. Like I think Joveljic probably was about a hair offside there. It was really not by much, but yeah, as the old saying goes, this game is a game of margin, and if Joveljic maybe when a little bit or if he holds his run a little bit late, or if that ball didn't release maybe a microsecond longer, then that probably would have been 1-1 in favorite or 1-1 in terms of score line, and the aggregate score will be now 2-1, and it gets even more interesting now because Sporting KC need just one goal to move on into the next round. But yeah, like I said, it's all Sporting up to this point since they got their first shot. The question is, can they capitalize against Inter Miami? Because if there's one thing we know when you're facing against Inter Miami, not only you have to play perfect against Inter Miami, but you got to capitalize on your chances. Because if you don't, this happens. As in the first minute of stoppage time, Miami will double their lead. It's a London. He scored from Alba to make it 2-0 in favor of Inter Miami. Only the second shot for Inter Miami in this game. So a classic example of them showing the clinical finishing, while Sporting KC was not. And really just an absolute backbreaker for Sporting KC. Not only now down 2-0, but now they need 3 goals to move on into the next round. And facing against this Inter Miami team, yeah, more likely or not, you're not gonna be able to score free to overcome. And all that potential show for that comeback was pretty much all gone after just 2 minutes later, because Luis Suarez would score to make it 3-0 in favor of Inter Miami. It feels like Sporting KC just completely capitulated like after giving up that second goal, because here, what in the world was the defending there from Sporting KC? I mean, it was just a ball popped up in the air. I have no idea why Volder wasn't able to deal with that. I mean, I get it. This is Luis Suarez, but this is not prime Luis Suarez that we're talking about. He should not be able to show his strength to outmuscle Volder like that. And yeah, just shocking defending in many parts in Sporting KC. And at that point, it was 3-0, and it pretty much was game over up to this point, with Miami having that 4-0 aggregate lead. Now in the second half, post game would deny Messi from point blank range. Where in the world was the marking there for Lionel Messi? It feels like nobody they marked Messi whatsoever, and you kind of had a sense that this Sporting KC team clearly they waved the white flag up to this point. Falcon just missed one on the outstretched leg. It basically is a training session for Miami now, as Sporting KC clearly they don't want to be there. They can't wait until the full time whistle is being blown. So they do get a consolation goal in the 63rd minute, as Memo Rodriguez would score from Davis to make it 3-1 in favor of Inter Miami. By the way, they did actually show some away fans for Sporting KC. There wasn't really a lot, but I gotta give my hats off to those away fans. I'm pretty sure not only they're there to see their team play, but I'm sure secretly they're also want to see their the greatest player of all time being playing this game as well. And in fairness, that goal probably wouldn't happen if there wasn't a big deflection off of Falcon. So I mentioned Falcon doing a really good job in this game. I'm not gonna blame him for this, because this is just one of those unfortunate one where when a defender trying to block a shot, it deflects off of you and goes into the back of the net. But nevertheless, that made it 3-1 in the score and 4-1 overall in the aggregates. And then we pretty much gone through a long period of time where not much really happened. And again, this game was already been settled. There was really no need for both teams to really push to trying to do something, knowing that they still have a weekend match coming up in just a couple of days. Although in the second minute of stoppage time, it was almost 3-2 if it wasn't for the post denying Agata on a diving header. That also came off of a corner, too. Once again, this is once again a big problem for this Inter Miami team. They still have not solved the issue when it comes to defending set pieces. They have been very shaky at time this season once again, and I would not be surprised as the season goes along that they got to fix that, because those set piece moment we saw in their upset against Atlanta, it played a big part in terms of them getting upset in that game, and we'll see whether or not they can fix that in the future. But nevertheless, that's really the only negative I would say about Inter Miami doing these two-leg affair, and as expected, it's pretty dominant performance that they had against Sporting KC. 3-1 is the scoreline, 4-1 in the aggregate score, and the shots in this one, not a lot of shots. 6 shots per the 10 that Sporting KC had. Both teams had 4 shots on goal, 1 shot off target for none that Sporting KC had. 6 shots that was blocked for the one that Inter Miami has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that Sporting KC has in this game. And with this win, Inter Miami will be moving on to the next round, where they're going to be facing against the Caribbean champion Cavalier. Though something tells me they're going to be heavy favorites once again in that match, and it probably should be a cakewalk again. And again, there's going to be people that's going to say, well, Inter Miami is going to get an easy road to the final. It isn't there. I mean, I know people will say that when they look at where Inter Miami is in the bracket, and some will basically once again create some conspiracy theory that they really want Inter Miami to do well and go deep into the competition. But as they go deeper in the competition, I have no doubt that this team is going to face some tougher team, especially when we look at that left side of the bracket where it's pretty much all MLS team. Most likely, Inter Miami will have a much tougher task in the quarterfinal. They might face the winners of LAFC or Columbus. In fact, they are going to face the winner of LAFC versus Columbus, and those two teams are not easy team to beat. And speaking of which, the reason why I say they'll face the winner of LAFC and Columbus is because LAFC took care of business against the Colorado Rapids, though it was not pretty whatsoever. And in many ways, this game kind of mirrored the same problem that LAFC had against Minnesota, where they just lack that creativity up forward. Now, I'm not sure if this is part to do with the fact that they're still integrating this new team because they did a lot of change this offseason. That's always going to take things to go well. And I have no doubt that as the season goes along, maybe LAFC might look a little bit better and they'll figure things out. Because right now, at least in these first couple of games, it hasn't looked promising for this team when it comes to the creative department, and they just don't look like the same lethal LAFC team that we've seen in the past. But with that being said, as the old saying goes, when a team is really good and they're considered to be a champion in their heart, that means that they always will find a way to win games, even in the ugly way. And that's kind of what we saw in this game against the Colorado Rapids. Now, first of all, I want to mention the attendance was pretty low. Like, there was a lot of empty seat at BMO Stadium. Now, eventually, it did kind of fill up a little bit. I guess that's your typical late LA arrival crowd. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of not surprised that the attendance a bit low. There's a lot of events that is going on in the LA area, and especially for a midweek game like this, and they didn't really advertise this game relatively well. The fact that the attendance actually looked pretty decent as the night goes along, that's still pretty decent. Although I know earlier a lot of people were dunking on LAFC by saying the attendance are really bad, and especially the kickoff of this game, a 7 p.m. kickoff. That is way too early for a kickoff to expect people to show up. In Grove, especially in the middle of the week. You know how bad LA traffic is in the middle of the week. I mean, I know it too because I've driven through that, and it is tough to go through midweek traffic and still get to the stadium on time. But in the second minute, the first shot of the game did see Navarro puts it wide from long range, and then Larias had a shot that was deflected and goes right to Larice. Again, this game is very similar to what we saw against Minnesota, the LAFC played. They really did not start on time in this. I even wrote, just like the opening match that they had last week against Minnesota, LAFC clearly has not started on time. They couldn't get anything going. They were giving their opposition some hope early on. There was a shout for a handball for Colorado that was not given. The shots were only 2-0, 17 minutes in. Both for the Rapids, but then the 19th minute, this is where we had a bit of a controversy because Navarro was in on goal there, but he missed wide there, and as he got up for that, he wants a penalty due to the fact that he feels like he was brought down by Segura as he shoot this one, but the referee and VAR says no. Now, the reason why this is very controversial is that, we have seen before where, even when a player takes the shot, if in the following motion that he's been brought down by a defender, that's always given as a penalty. Now, I think the reason why this is not called a penalty is one, this is CONCACAF, and we know that in CONCACAF, just because even if it's an all MLS matchup, the referee is going to make some very questionable call and skewing some call at time as well. But I think the second reason why this maybe wasn't given a penalty is simply Navarro was just being too honest here. I think for Navarro, if he's felt some contact, there's a reason why we see nowadays in 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 a worse way where we've seen players kind of dive in the box if they felt any contact, because that's where you want to draw the foul and want to force the referee to make that decision. Now, obviously, we also have seen players do it egregiously and they get booked for embellishment, but there's been times where, again, it is kind of taught now in the game where if you feel any contact or some significant contact, just go down. Don't even think about shooting the ball or following up. Just go down. You're gonna win yourself a penalty. And I think in this case, if Navarro actually just went down after he was pulled down by Segura, that would have been a penalty being called by the referee. But he didn't, and I think that's kind of the reason why it wasn't given. But nevertheless, I know Colorado fans are not going to be very happy with that call, especially if the outcome how this game turns out. Now, the first shot for LAFC did see Delgado put it into Rosette from long range, and 30 minutes in, again, LAFC continued to look flat going forward. They just have nothing going on for them, not causing any problem to the Rapids or Stefan goal. Martinez then hits it right to Stefan in the 34th minute. I thought LAFC started to get more possession, but again, they just didn't really quite sort out of a well-organized Rapids defense, and also just their midfield just looked very discombobulated up to this point. But we do head to halftime with the scoreless between both of these teams, and in the second half, LAFC wastes no time to get that opening goal as Mark Delgado scored his first goal for LAFC for Martinez to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC. And after that goal, you kind of had a sense the momentum was starting to shift to LAFC. You know, we saw similar to that in the last game against Minnesota. As soon as they got that goal from Ibosi, Giroud almost had a chance to double the goal up. Martinez then hits it right to Stefan in the 59th minute, and then Awaziam would hit it wide from the corner in the 65th minute. As I thought the Rapids started to have more of the possession and try to push for that crucial away goal to go ahead in the aggregate. So despite that, you know, LAFC still looked pretty good at the back. You know, they were sitting back a little bit, maybe trying to look for the counter and trying to make it hard for the Rapids to break them down. And they did a good job of it because the Rapids, for the most part, they didn't really do much going forward on the attack tonight whatsoever. And then in the 73rd minute, we thought we got the second goal of the game when Ordaz put the ball into the back net. Problem was the goal was disallowed for offside on development of play. Now they didn't actually show a replay of that, so I'm gonna trust the fact that that was the right call, even though Rapids fan will immediately say, yeah, that probably won't be the right call because they already botched the penalty kick that probably should have been given in the 19th minute. But nevertheless, Bawanga would then puts it over from close in the 79th minute, and then we had a very bizarre situation where there was a long delay. As I'm assuming they were checking to see whether or not if Palencia did say some choice words that he probably shouldn't have said toward Awaziam there. They even was listening to the field mic whether or not if it picked up something. And apparently they didn't pick up anything. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure CONCACAF might actually investigate in this because anytime when there's any like racial slur that is toward a player, they're always going to investigate in that situation. So, well, right now we don't know anything about it. We'll see what's gonna happen at when this game is over and when they continue the investigation, and we'll see whether or not if there's going to be any further punishment that could be handled in that situation. But either way, you know that was a long delay, and you know what's even more crazier? There was only 6 minutes of stoppage time. So yeah, I think the Colorado Rapids are getting the full CONCACAF kind of treatment tonight. Not only they get CONCACAF by having a penalty that wasn't given in favor of them, but now they're getting CONCACAF because they only got 6 minutes of stoppage time, even though that whole ordeal that we saw lasted more than 6 minutes. So yeah, that probably I mean if this was MLS, they're probably at least 10 or 11 minutes of stoppage time. For whatever reason, so far from what I've seen from CONCACAF play, there's been a lot less stoppage time than I've seen in other tournament. And that's kind of crazy to see because, you know, we've seen in other tournament and even in MLS, there's been more stoppage time than ever before. But CONCACAF just said, nope, we're gonna wrap this thing up. We're not even gonna bother adding the time that should be. So yeah, again, the Rapids might feel a little hard done that they only got 6 minutes out of that, even though in many ways it should have been at least double digit amount of stoppage because of that long delay that we have. And really, they couldn't do anything in that stoppage time either because in the end, the LAFC they move on into the next round. They win 1-0 in this game against the Rapids. The shots in this one, 11 shots for the 5 that the Rapids had, 4 shots on goal for the none that Colorado has, 3 shots off target for the 2 that LAFC had, 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that the Rapids had, and possession wise, 58% possession compared to the 42% possession that LAFC has in this game. And it wasn't pretty, but as the old saying go, in a tournament play like this, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. As long as you survive in events, that's all that matters. And we'll see how they will do in the next round. Especially, yeah, the next round is going to be very tasty with the rematch of the Leeds Cup and MLS Cup that we saw a couple of years back against Columbus. That should be a heck of a matchup. That started becoming a bit of a rivalry game, similar to what we see with Seattle and Toronto FC when many people say that they are considered to be cross-conference rival with the way that both of those teams meeting MLS Cup so many times in the past. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.